Welcome back to Society Case Files. My name is Robert, and today I'm coming at you with something that's kind of a surprise even to me. I'm doing a review of the movie Thunderbolts. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Otherwise, I'm going to jump right in. Now, what's probably most surprising about this is the fact that I have spent a considerable amount of time on this channel complaining about the theater system and not going to the movies and all this other nonsense. And, I pretty much didn't think much would drag me out, but I really like too many of the characters in this to not give it a try. And I happened to notice that there was a 3 p.m. show at the IMAX, so I was able to take some time off and get out there. Shockingly, I think that maybe 8 seats were sold for that time. It must have just been the perfect sweet spot for people that just couldn't break away from work or whatever. It was the middle of the day, and it worked out great. So got to see it in IMAX. Practically a private showing. It was a really cool theater. I hadn't been there in a very, very long time. And all around, the experience itself was great. So I thought it was important to mention that since I have pretty much crapped on movie theaters so much lately, it's only right to be very honest and say that it's not always like that. And sometimes it can be a lot of fun. I could say that the Thunderbolts was just a great time all around. In fact, it's probably one of my favorite movies in a long time. That said, I could get a little bit more detailed about a few things. First off, I am way behind on a lot of Marvel stuff. I haven't seen Ms. Marvel. I didn't see She-Hulk. I didn't see Agatha All Along. I haven't seen Captain America Brave New World. I wanted to see the latter of those. Actually, I kind of want to see all of them. It's just the TV shows are a time commitment that I wasn't as excited about at the time. And Brave New World was at the theater, but I didn't really want to go. And then now it's available to buy, but they want $30 for it. And it just seems like, I don't know, that's just a little much for a digital movie when I know for a fact that it will make it to Disney Plus, which I already pay for, and it will, of course, be considerably cheaper in a few months, if not down to 15, it might even drop to 10. So I can really wait on that if necessary. But that said, I do feel like there are some situations in this movie that really did require me to have at least seen that film. I'm not sure if it was super required or not, but there were references that I was guessing were from that movie, and they were absolutely spoilers. So knowing that, it might be something that you want to try the other film first if you are really concerned about that. But if you've kept up, you're probably fine. One of the things I liked most about Thunderbolts was that the characters were allowed to really have some bitterness to them, and they got to sort of explore some things that I didn't really see as much of in some of the Marvel movies. There's just a lot of angst that was produced, and I thought that was pretty cool. My fear is that if I get into anything too specific, I'm going to offer up some pretty major spoilers. But what I can say is that I absolutely loved everybody in it. I thought they were all just essential, and they did a great job. Sebastian Stan is one of my favorite people ever, especially in all the Marvel movies. Bucky has just been awesome since his first introduction. I loved Yelena in the Black Widow, and when she showed up in Hawkeye, that was freaking awesome. So all around, I've always really enjoyed her character. And then David Harbour is just amazing. So everybody is just really cool, and I'm just, I don't know. The whole time I was kind of both surprised and delighted, which I could say that most of the movies have given me at least some level of delight. I liked the Marvels. I liked Shang-Chi quite a bit. None of the movies, save like Thor: The Dark World and Avengers: Age of Ultron, really left me too flat. Those two movies I didn't care for as much. I think those two examples suffered by comparison, that they had fewer movies to put them up against, and the ones that they were going up against were just freaking great. I think we've gotten a lot more mediocre films since then, or, just not quite as good. And so it's easier to take a film and say, well, it's not as bad as this one or that one. There's like tons of them now. What I think is probably my least favorite thing about Marvel movies at this point is that they have the TV shows and they tie those into the movies. While on one hand, that's really freaking cool because you can explore the world in a much more robust manner, it also means that in many cases, we have to keep up with a tremendous amount of entertainment just to stay ahead and not feel like we're missing out on Easter eggs or even plot points in some cases. And I remember I wasn't super interested in Daredevil, the Netflix show, when it first came out. And I don't remember how I missed it, but I didn't realize that the lead actor, Charlie Cox, was even in it. I didn't realize who he was when I saw the initial trailers for Daredevil. Then Daredevil Season 2 came out, and I heard that The Punisher's in it. Well, I love The Punisher, so I was like, I'm going to watch it. So I tried to start watching it, but no, it just wasn't even worth going into without watching Season 1 first. And I'll say that I ended up loving Season 1, and I wished I had watched it much sooner. But that feeling when I started watching Season 2 is kind of how some of these newer movies are. Even Thunderbolts. You start out the film and some stuff's happening, and I kind of felt like I was missing something. Now, that may or may not be true. It might just be that I know I haven't seen a bunch of stuff, so I'm looking at things and I'm trying to piece stuff together in the back of my head, and I probably shouldn't be. And so, I don't know. I invite anybody who has seen all of the stuff up to this point, including Thunderbolts, to let me know if I was just crazy in the first hour of this film. And at 2 hours, it was actually a fairly reasonable length. It didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel like there wasn't enough going on, even with all of the characters. I can say that I would have liked to see more of the other people, because this one really did kind of focus on Yelena more than the others. So if you think about like the Eternals, it really focuses on a single character, and some of the other characters are dragged in without really even seeing what they've been up to. And I felt like that was the same with Thunderbolts. Now, this is a good thing in this case, because sometimes you want more movie because you don't feel like they flesh out enough. In this case, I just wanted more movie because I was having a great time. Just as an aside, so that you know, without giving away the content, there are two post-credit scenes, one about halfway and then one at the very end. They're both very cool. They both had that same feeling of the old school Marvel post-credit stuff that actually feel like there's some purpose to them. It's kind of funny because they're basically just very short trailers for whatever's coming, a link to the next thing. And I know that I've read some directors are like really against having to put stuff in their movie to be that bridge. And there's some of the Marvel movies that are practically just a bridge to get from that film to this film, which, you know, honestly, the comics do too. So they're just following that tradition. Of course, the problem is that movies are astronomically expensive these days. Putting out a film just to bridge the gap between two pieces and not letting it really stand on its own is kind of crappy. But I know I've read about some of these films feeling like there wasn't much point to them other than to introduce some characters or bring stuff in. I kind of felt like the second Black Panther movie did that a little bit by bringing in the lady who makes the Iron Man suit for herself. I can't remember her name. But that said, I'm kind of going off on a tangent. I think that if you like any Marvel movie, if you've ever enjoyed a Marvel movie, if any of them have been fun to you at all, then I think you'll love the Thunderbolts movie. If you're a big fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy or the original Avengers film or the Falcon and Winter Soldier, then I think that Thunderbolts would be super fun. If you have serious comic book movie fatigue, it might be difficult to say that Thunderbolt will win you over. I honestly think it would. I do. But that really depends on just how intense you're over these movies just coming out continually over and over again. I would recommend Thunderbolts. I had a blast. I loved it. I think it deserves the Rotten Tomatoes rating it got, which was, as of this filming, 88%. It had everything that I wanted out of it and a lot more. It really did surprise me in lots and lots of ways. And it's not that I wasn't thinking it would be a lot of fun. It's just that I have gone into these movies now a little bit more cautiously optimistic as opposed to optimistic. I don't go in just going, this is going to be fantastic. I go in thinking it'll probably be fun. And in this case, it vastly exceeded my expectations. So If you do get out to the theater, I say this is one that's worth pulling you in. If you don't go out to the theater very much, if you can find a showing that would cater to a smaller crowd size or something like that, or you have a really nice theater in your neighborhood, I'd say it's worth it. I did see it in IMAX. Probably didn't need to be that big of a screen. It's a lot more street level than some of these movies, but it was still fun. Anyway, that's about it for me. Are you excited about the Thunderbolts? Are you going to go see it? Have you seen it already? Let me know in the comments, and we'll chat about it. This is Robert with Society Case Files, signing off.